We're live.
That's awesome. Your countdown was
5 to 1.
It was 5, 4. We're live.
It's amazing. So welcome everybody to this beautiful Wednesday with Jake Ballentine. Wow. How the hell did I get so lucky?
Well, thank you so much.
Seriously. So I just want to introduce you guys to Jake in my eyes, because I was blessed to have met Jake in my manifestation mastermind with Lorelei Mariano. And out of all the great speakers and thought leaders that she has, I just felt that Jake he inspired me just by being like completely real, relatable. And you offered me most of us a free coaching session after the call. And that's where you really inspired me in a couple of minutes. And, I spoke to you about my dreams and we broke it down real quick. And then in turn, you helped me go to action. And, the real dream of creating community, giving back, inspiring people. And why do I have to have, the brick and mortar, the actual physical location? I could go and do that and interact with people that might be into that right now. And I did. And I thank you, because it's still one of the best contributions to my life. And then, after that, I'm also very grateful for when you invited me to your summit. Hope I don't cry, because this is huge. You included me in your summit. And at that point in time, you also gifted me. They usually say, put the oxygen mask on you first. And at that point in my life, I was worried about everybody else and running here and running there and really overwhelmed. And I'm like, you know what? Not only did you gift me the experience, but I gifted me the experience. And there's a picture on my default on my Facebook of me smiling at that event. And that was truly a huge point in my life where I was so happy and just getting my life back and learning from you. So part of the reason why I've been saying is I want you to know how much you've impacted my life. And part of this also is the fact that you impacted me and you're impacting so many others. I want to share that with my people. So thank you, Jake.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer. That is so kind of you to say. And, I know your background and I know what you've been through over the last, it's only been a year, it's really only been a year. And I know what that's like. And no, I don't know what that's like. I just know what you've been through and I've seen what you've been through. And I just want to say, like, you are an incredible person who, even though you've been through so much, you're focused on serving others. And it's something that is such a blessing to everyone who's around you. So thank you so much for sharing that with me. But I just want to say that, look, the reason why things are going well for you is because you're moving, you're taking action, you're having faith when so many people would just give up in the situation that you're in.
Thank you. I appreciate that very much. So I have so many key points and sayings that I've adopted from you. Aside from everything else, even with this social media, I've been getting messages from people I know like, wow, you're the queen of social media. And, I don't know, I'm taking it as a compliment, but it's also like, wow, you're putting out a lot of content. And I learned that from your summit. And I tell people too that I'm friends with, like, most people don't see what you're putting out there. I always remember you telling me, post 3 times a day. Yeah. You can't and Gary Vee talks about that too. Like you can't over post and overshare, because odds are with the algorithms, like, people aren't going to see some of the stuff that you produce.
Totally. Yeah. Well, so I was talking with someone, I don't know, this was about a year ago, and they said, we don't really post a lot, but when we post something, it really means something. And so we get, more people are paying attention, and I looked at their stuff and I'm like, well, that's not true at all. Like people aren't seeing your stuff. They're not seeing it. And I think a lot of people get so precious with their ideas of what it's supposed to be and what social media is supposed to be. And they get on this idea of like, oh, well, everything that I post means something super valuable. And so I just don't post often. And I don't want to, be annoying. And I don't want to be there in front of people. But people don't see you. They just don't. They don't see everything that you post. They're not going to. They're not going to see everything that you post. There's so many things that are being posted. And maybe they see every third thing that you post. Now, I'm just making that up, but maybe that's the case. Maybe the people who follow you see every third post that you do. Well, if you post twice a week, then that means that they're only seeing you, every 9 days is as often as they're seeing you. If you post once a day, they're only seeing you every couple days. If you post 3 times a day, well, then they're seeing you once a day. Now, I'm not saying that you have to post 3 times a day. I'm saying that you can post up to 3 times a day without even having any worry or any concern about being too much. And I say at least post once a day because you want people to see you. That's the whole point of this. The whole point is that people can see you, people can consume the content that you're putting out, and they can start to build that know, like, and trust factor that only comes through actually showing up.
And, that leads me to my next saying that I stole from you, I guess I could say.
You can steal away.
I say it all the time. Rejection is protection. It's done wonders for me. And I remember you telling us during the summit, everybody there was authors, speaker, coaches. That's your business. And, just people worrying about the content that we are putting out. Like people, naturally, some people are going to judge it or not be in tune with it. And just to know that if they're rejecting that they're not your people.
Yes.
And that's okay.
Yes. If you're not being rejected by some people, then you're way too vanilla. You're just, you just are. Like, yeah, it's just, that's it. If you're not being rejected, nobody is loving your content if you're not being rejected, because what you're trying to do is you're playing it so safe that you want to make sure that nobody's offended, right? If that's your goal, to offend nobody, then like that's no way to live. There's no way to live to say, I just don't want to offend anyone, but you're not going to truly connect with people. And if you're going to truly connect with people, there's going to be some people who don't like it. And for me, I'll tell you this, I like to focus on the actual people that I want to attract, and I just focus on them. And I only focus on what they are getting out of this, only focusing on what they want. And I let go of everything else, because sometimes, there's a lot of value in doing market research and things like that. And I certainly do value it. I certainly do think that it is a positive thing. However, if you go out and send a survey to everyone who follows you, you're going to find that there's going to be conflicting information, where some people will love you because of X reason, and then there's going to be other people who dislike what you're doing because of that same very reason that these people like. That just will happen. You can't please everyone, because the very things that some people like are going to be the very things that other people dislike. And so you can't, not that people aren't valuable. All people are valuable intrinsically. Everyone has worth, and I truly believe that. However, not everyone's opinion is valuable. The only opinions that matter are the opinions of those that you actually want to attract, the opinions of those that you want to serve, the opinions of those that you actually like working with. So if you go, okay, this guy doesn't like what I'm doing over here, and then this person really likes it, you know what? I like working with this person, and this person's not very fun to be around. I'm going to value this person's opinion above this person's. But then on the same thing, if somebody someone who's been an active client for a while, that is someone who I love working with this person and I want to attract more of those types of people. If they say, if they give you constructive feedback of, I kind of liked it when you used to do this. I liked it when you used to do this and you're not doing that anymore. You might want to take that opinion with a little bit more weight than the opinion of someone who has never actually done anything more than click a thumbs up every now and then. You're going to value the people who are actually participating, who are actually engaging. And most importantly, you want to value the people that you want to attract more of.
Wow. Yeah, that was a huge lesson, I think. And I think that's a huge lesson for everybody. So, I think part of the reason when you were on Lorelai's mastermind, it was like, for me, I'm like, oh, it's hard for me to pinpoint like that target audience. Because like, what if you want to just help everybody and you're not sure who wants to receive the message?
Yeah.
How do you focus in on that?
Well, I often say that in order to make things easy for you and your business, we need to do one of two things. We need to either be very crystal clear and focused on either the type of person that we are serving or the message that we have. Meaning you could have a very narrow message that has a broad audience, or you could have a very narrow focus of the person with a broad message. Now, focus message, focus person is the easiest way to get your business going. It's not harder, it's easier. It just is. It's the easiest way. But if that's too much for you, which it is for most people, and I don't really want to do that. That's not something that I love doing. I like talking about a lot of different types of things. But if you aren't one or the other, like let's say if you're saying, well, I want to help all people with whatever they're going through, that is like, it's impossible for me to pinpoint. We just can't, I don't know how to do that. I don't know how to get in front of those people because it's everyone. Like I know no one's there right now, but if my message were to be, well, I want to help all people with whatever they're going through, then I might as well just stand in front of Walmart on a soapbox and just start talking. It's just, well, there's people, but it's like, no, that's not it. But so the question is how can you get focused on either the type of people I want to serve or get really focused on the message that I have for the world? And so if you get really focused on the type of people that you want to serve, it becomes much easier to get clear on the message because you're going to focus on their needs. You're going to focus on their needs and their wants, and you're going to build a business around that. If you're really focused on a particular message, this is the message that I have for the world. Well, you might say, well, this is for anybody, but the market's going to tell you who it's for because they're the ones who are going to come out and be interested. And so either way, if someone's stuck on one of these, people or message, if they can start with one and then start moving, the feedback will tell them the other side of it. Because eventually, even if I say, okay, here's my message, it's very specific, I think it's for all people. Well, I don't know, a few months into it, you're going to start to notice that's interesting. All the people who are saying yes, all the people who are wanting to work with me have this and this and this in common. Now you know exactly what your target is.
Thank you so much for giving me that distinction and going into detail with that. So I know, so we're pretty close in age and, we have that similar POG interest and all that jazz.
I forgot about that. Similar POG interest. You make it sound like I'm like a POG enthusiast and I have like piles of POGs and slammers like hanging out around my house. I don't own any POGs today. I just want to be clear on that.
No, I'm just kidding. Unfortunately,
okay, I had this cool slammer that was the Shredder. Do you remember the Shredder?
Was it hologram?
No. It was like it had like perforated edges to it, like kind of like spikes around the side, and you threw it on the side like this. you could catch the tower, and it was cool. It was cool.
I think you might be a little bit an enthusiast. You just don't know it.
I just remember 4th grade really well.
Can I ask you a question that's kind of silly?
Yeah.
If you had one superpower, what would it be?
Okay, if I had one superpower, what would it be? It would be the ability to teleport.
Cool.
And it's going to sound a lot more practical than whimsical and cool. The reason why I say that it would be the ability to teleport is because the hardest thing about my job is getting on airplanes and all the time of travel and all. Though right now, I'll tell you the truth, I would love to get on an airplane right now and just fly anywhere. Like I don't even need to have a not in the current conditions. I'm not saying that. I mean, like, I would love to magically be able to hop on an airplane and I don't know, go to Des Moines, Iowa. Like, who cares? Like, it doesn't matter. So, by the way, I've been to Des Moines, Iowa many times. Shout out to Des Moines. You guys are awesome. Kent, if you happen to be watching this, thanks for bringing me out. Thanks for bringing me out to Des Moines, Iowa several times to speak to your people. But anyway, point being, like, I would love to get out and go somewhere, but I love traveling. I love seeing people. I love doing vacations and those kind of things, but I love getting out and seeing people. Like, my favorite thing in the world, like, okay, I'm so blessed to be able to have a business that runs online, to be able to run with video, and I don't need to worry about those kind of things. I'm able to run my business anyway. However, my favorite thing in my profession is speaking to real people in an audience, people in front of me. My all-time favorite thing. I love getting out and seeing people and seeing their faces and experiencing them in person. But the hardest thing about that has been all of the travel. I've had some years where I have 50 round trip flights in a year. I mean, that's a lot. That's a lot of flights I'm doing. And if I could just, teleport, from coast to coast or wherever I'm going, it would just make life so much easier.
I love that. I would want to fly. So I guess it's similar.
Yeah, that's great. Love it. Well, and then, I mean, flight sounds cool, but I'm just thinking about, like, eventually if I'm flying across the country, like, 6 hours of this, like, well, and that's assuming you're going the speed of a jet. So I'd go, well, I just want to teleport there.
All right. That's what's up.
Yeah. Because I just love, I mean, I love, I've seen the entire country many times over, and I love it. I love being all over the place. One of the coolest things that I've learned is that no matter where you go, people are people. And people from wherever have preconceived notions of people from other places. And it's just not true. Like, people in big cities are not very different from people in rural places. And it's amazing to go and experience. I've been to right around 500 schools across the nation and got to meet people, meet kids, meet teenagers, meet adults, the teachers, the educators, the admin, parents. And, because of that, I've really got to know, like, the heart of the country. And that's in big cities, tiny places, everywhere in between. And, like, that's the thing that I've learned is people are people. They all have the same, the problems might look a little bit different on the outside, but once you get inside, they're all the same. They're all going through the exact same types of things. They might use different words for it. They might use different language around it, but people are just the same. And going all over the place has really eliminated any of the preconceived notions that I had at one time. And has made me realize, like, no, people in a particular, like, people say this all the time, like, you're in New York. New Yorkers say all sorts of stuff about people just from New Jersey. And you're like, what? Like, what? Why all the hate on New Jersey? New Jersey's a great place. But, like, you go to, like, a city and people talk about these people in these rural places and be like, oh, they're just these country bumpkins that are whatever. And then people in the country will talk about the people from the city. They're like, oh, they're these snooty whatever. And it's like, none of that's real. People are people.
Feelings are universal. Yeah,
Totally.
I definitely agree with that. So I was saying, like, we're the same age and you've had like incredible success and there's so many people that look up to you and love you. Like, what inspired you to build this?
That's a hard question to answer because there's so many layers upon it. Like there's like, because like what I'm doing today, it's not a linear line. There's like there's not just one linear line of like, oh, I just boom, this is what I did. Like there's so many layers upon it. And I'll say this, the biggest advice, and I'll get to like what inspired me, but the biggest advice that I have for anyone is just take action, even if you're not sure. Like even if you don't know. Like for me, I started out, in college, I said, I'm going to be a professional musician and I'm going to use music to make a positive difference in the world. Well, I went for it. I did it professionally for several years, and I was, playing in bars and clubs and venues and all those kinds of things. And after a while, I started to feel like, well, I started doing this to make to use music to promote a positive message, and I'm just entertaining drunk people. Like that's not really doing it. And so then I went, okay, well, what else can I do? And then I had this idea of like, well, what if I did like these school assemblies where I combined speaking and music? And I was like, okay, well, I could do that. And so I started doing that. And then as I was doing that, I was like, okay, well, this is really, and I dove all the way in. Everything I've done has been all in. And so I started doing that, and I'm like, wow, this is great. And then that's when I really started falling in love with this whole thing called personal development. Like I had done some of it before, but I didn't know the world. I didn't know all the things that were available. And I went, oh, okay, well, I'll always love music, but I really started a whole new love, which was this idea of personal development and psychology and helping people move forward in life. And so then that started. I started coaching. I started speaking at other types of events. I started working with adults because I realized that adults are just 14-year-olds that are older. They have the same issues, the same problems. And so then I started, building upon that. And then eventually so many people said, how are you doing this? And so I was like, oh, well, I can help people do that, like help people figure this out. And I realized I had this huge passion for it and there was this huge need for it. And then I said, well, as much as earlier I talked about loving travel, I love travel, but I didn't want to be an absentee father. So I said, okay, well, how am I going to do this and build this online to where I can do this online? And sure, well, now I'm not traveling at all, but prior to all this, I'm like, okay, well, once a month I'll do a seminar somewhere. Once a month I'll do a seminar or speak somewhere or do something like that. And not once a week, like it used to be several times a week. I'd fly somewhere, be gone for 3 or 4 days, come back. That's what I would do on a weekly basis before. So I said, okay, I want to create this so I can be home and really own my own business as opposed to needing to go out and do all these different kinds of things. So the biggest thing in terms of when you say build all this, like I don't really even know where to start because there's like the story, there's so many steps along this journey and none of it would have happened if I didn't just start. If I didn't just start, none of it would have happened. So inspiration, there's a lot of people in my life that I've always been inspired by, and specifically a lot of my family members have always been really inspired by. Of course, there's famous people and those kind of things, but I had this one great uncle. So he's my grandfather's brother. His name is Jack, and Uncle Jack was like the coolest guy in the world. So he passed away, I don't know, 5 years ago. I think around 5 years ago. He was 95,
Wow.
Lived an incredible life. But this guy, his life was like a movie. This guy's life was a movie. It was incredible. He, back in the 40s, he was training to be he was a boxer, he's a competitive boxer. He was going to be on the Olympic team. He was training to be a part of the Olympic team. The Olympics were canceled because of World War II. Then he goes and he becomes a fighter pilot in what was then the Army Air Corps. The Air Force didn't exist yet. And he becomes like his hotshot pilot, a part of the Flying Tigers, which was a big elite kind of, I don't know what you'd call them, but an elite program in the Army Air Corps, doing all these incredible things. He comes home, he's this war hero and did all these great things there. But then, he comes home and he becomes a teacher. So it's kind of like a normal thing, right? He becomes a teacher, but yet he has all this impact in the cities and in the communities, working with at-risk kids and doing all this stuff. He just says, okay, I want to keep moving. I want to do more. And he starts building businesses on the side and builds a construction business and starts doing housing developments and does all of this different kinds of stuff. All to what? Oh, and he was a state senator for the state of Nevada. And then later on in life, the state of Nevada, if you're over 70, you can go to college for free in the state system.
That's amazing.
So he goes back to school at 70 years old, gets his master's degree, then gets his PhD. And so he does this in his 70s. And then in his 80s, he then runs for an elected position to be the regent, be one of the board of regents for the University of Nevada, which is basically, there's a board of people that are all elected positions. It's essentially like school board, but for all of the colleges in the state. So there's 10 of them. And he was in charge of all of the universities for 10 years. He was on that board as an elected position. I think he retired from it when he was 89. And here's a guy that just, whenever he had something he wanted to do, he went and did it. And from the time I was a little kid, I was just like, that guy's amazing. He's just doing stuff all the time. And his life was a life that was worth telling. It was a life that you could have a movie about. And I remember being 18 years old saying, you know what? I don't even know what I'm going to do with my life, but I want my life to be worth being made a movie. That's what I want. And so everything I've done has just been okay, I'm going to do it. And I'm going to go all in to anything I'm doing. I'm going all into it. And if I want to do something, I'm going to go out and do it. And I'm going to put in the work and I'm going to go make it happen. So that's just one person. I could go on with a bunch of different people, but Uncle Jack was a huge inspiration to me and what I did, what I've done.
Thank you so much for sharing that with me. I felt like I know him now, which is really nice that you're that you're bringing his spirit and his legacy to all of us.
Yeah. It was really awesome. There's also a movie. Have you ever seen the movie Big Fish?
Oh my God, I love that movie.
It's amazing, right? It's incredible. The movie's incredible.
A little bit of a tearjerker, but amazing.
That's true. Edward Bloom is my spirit animal. So that movie came out around, I was 18. I was 18 when that movie came out. And I just what I loved about it is he's just an ordinary guy, but everything he did had magic to it, and everything he did, he put everything into it. And I was I just want to be like that guy. I just want to be like that guy. And that is my favorite movie of all time. I watch it at least once a year, and I just want to be Edward Bloom.
Have you ever seen The 5 People You Meet in Heaven?
I've read the book.
Okay, I don't know why because it's filmed kind of similarly.
Yeah. Well, I'll have to watch the movie. Yeah, that's written by Mitch Albom. He also wrote Tuesdays with Morrie.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Are you familiar with that book?
I haven't read it, but I've heard of it. Yeah.
It's really great. It's his the whole book is about connecting with an old college professor named Morrie something or other, and this guy was dying of Lou Gehrig's disease, and he just met with him every Tuesday and just listened to him, and that was his first book in this category, because prior to this, I don't know, he was just a newspaper columnist or something like that. This whole thing was just a project that he had, and then it brought this whole new career of him writing these types of books. But I'm pretty sure that 5 People You Meet in Heaven is Mitch Albom. I'm 99% sure that's who it is.
I love that. I'm definitely going to look into that. That sounds right up my alley.
Cool.
Yeah. So is there anything that you want to share? I wanted to ask you, I know we're pushed for time right now, but so I see that with Michelle Soro, she just launched, a bunch of people I know and love released a bunch of podcasts, and I saw that she honored you in saying, like, Jake, thank you so much for coaching everybody. I'm just like, how was that experience for you?
Well, I think you might have misread the quotation. I was not involved with that project.
Oh,
I was not involved with that project, other than Michelle's someone that, her and I are people, we both help each other out a ton. We just help each other with whatever we're doing, and just really, push each other and help each other and those kind of things. So I was certainly honored. Michelle, thank you if you're watching this, for her saying that. That was definitely an honor, her saying that, but I don't think she was saying, because I wasn't involved with the project, I think she was saying that she wouldn't have done it if it wasn't for some conversation.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
That's so you. That's so you. So how do you feel about podcasts? Do you have a podcast?
Yeah, I'm kind of lazy with it. I've had 2 different podcasts before. Technically, I still have a podcast. I haven't put out stuff on it recently, and I'll be totally honest with people. The reason I don't put podcasts out on a regular basis is because it's a lot of work, and it's a lot of effort. It's not the recording. It's just the actual uploading and doing all that stuff is quite a bit of work and effort. So I'm just saying that I'm kind of lazy with it sometimes. So that's really it. I'm just telling you the truth. But really, when it comes down to it, all the content that I put out goes into the Speakers, Authors, and Coaches Network Facebook group. And, so I put out tons of content there, tons of, video interviews, a lot of different content that we're putting out regularly, daily, putting out stuff. And so, yeah, you called me out on the thing that I'm not great at.
I'm sorry.
No, you can do that.
But you're great at so much more.
Yeah,
and you inspired. See how you inspired one person to inspire 10.
Yeah, there you go.
And they're all doing their thing and lit up. So that's you.
Well, like I said at the beginning of this, you asked me if there was anything that was off limits, and no, the answer is definitely no to that. I can talk about anything. I'm super, super comfortable talking about things. And I also think it's important for people to, especially people who are seen as experts, or people who are seen as, oh, this person's successful. And I think it's really important that we are okay with sharing things that we aren't great at. Because I think sometimes I'll have clients say things like, how do you do so much? Like, how do you do so many things? And like, the truth is like, I do so many things because I'm not afraid to fail. Like, that's it. Like, I don't care. Like, I'm not afraid to look silly. I'm not afraid to look like, because a lot of people are like, well, what if I post something and then nobody likes it? Or what if I start a podcast and then a month later I just stop? Well, that's going to look foolish. I just go, I'm not going to let that stop me. I'm just not. I'm not going to let it stop me. I'm going to move forward no matter what. And I'm willing to say, hey, I'm not great at that, but that's okay. You don't have to be great at everything to make things work.
Every message, that the main message that I feel that you've been sharing with us is to move into action. And part of my goals for my life is like, whatever, I'm going to say God, whatever God puts in my heart, I want to do. Yes. I want to act on. Yes. I want to make happen. Because why is it there?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it put there? So that's big for me. And my last question to you is, with these challenging times, do you have anything you want to share with everybody?
Yeah, just keep moving forward. Keep moving forward no matter what. And remember this, that any kind of challenge doesn't change your mission in life. It doesn't change your vision. It doesn't change what you're here to do. I've seen way too many people jumping ship and abandoning what their goals were, abandoning what their mission was. And they'd say that this was something they cared about, something they loved, something they were passionate about, and they're doing something completely different now. And if that's what you feel is right, go for it. But I want to tell you that your dreams aren't dead. They're not. They're not. They are not dead. You can keep moving forward. just keep moving. Like that's it. That's it. Just keep moving. And remember, everyone else is in the same situation as you. Literally everyone on earth. Everyone is in the same situation as you right now. And so you're not a victim. You know, you're just not. You're not a victim of this circumstance. Everyone is going through it. And so don't feel sorry for yourself and move forward. I'll tell you this, I just created, like I was so excited about it. I had just created this it was like the perfect sales funnel for this product that was all about speaking on stages. Like, okay, well, obviously that's not pertinent right now, but like it was working. You know, I had my ads like working perfectly where I had this and it was profitable. And it was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited about this thing. And I had spent like pretty much all of February and the beginning part of March, probably 6 weeks working on this project. And literally the week after I finally got it dialed in and it was working, poof, it's not relevant anymore. And I could either sit there and cry about it, or I can say, move on, find something else that you can do right now. Find something else that works now and just move on. Okay, great. That'll be relevant later. I can do that later. But right now it's not relevant. So everybody has a story like that. I was about to do this and then this happened. I just got this job and then this happened or whatever. It just is what it is. And so let go of those kind of feelings and just move forward.
Jake, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone who's watching. And I hope that you feel Jake's heart and hear his message, because he's somebody that has a great one to share.
Well, thank you so much, Jennifer.
If you could just stay with me. I have one more question I want to ask you. I'm going to end the broadcast.
Okay.
Bye, guys. Love you.
See you later.